Rev up your engines.
Peanut 24353 says, Scotty, I want to get a new BMW. Keep it the rest of my life. Is it worth it? Well, it is if you're a millionaire, because if you try to keep that for the rest of your life, you're going to spend a whole bunch of money fixing it. When I was a kid, BMWs had four-cylinder little cars, and they were bulletproof. They could run forever, but they got fancier and fancier and fancier, and now they're all plastic and computer run. That particular car, it might be fine for 5 years or 8 years. You might not have that many problems, but it's all plastic and computerized. And as it ages, especially where I live in Texas, where it gets really hot, or up north where it gets really cold, all that plastic stuff starts to crack when they age and cost a fortune to repair. So you couldn't keep that for the rest of your life unless you're a millionaire, and you just keep throwing money after money, because all that plastic stuff's going to break and the electronic stuff's going to short out as it ages. That's just how those cars are. Carlos Martinez says, I have a 2006 Nissan Altima. The check engine light's on. The diagnostic said #1 oxygen sensor. Bought a new sensor. The light came back on 50 miles later. Okay. Realize that those trouble codes are what's called relatively generic codes. When that code comes out, there can actually be over a dozen different things that can make that come on. Now, first thing, make sure you buy an OEM sensor, original equipment manufacturer sensor. You don't have to buy it at a dealer, but you do want to buy the same brand. Say it was a Nippon Denso, you want to buy a Nippon Denso. If you didn't, the aftermarket ones often don't glitch. Now, if you did buy an original equipment one and put it on and it came back, that means you have another problem. It could be the catalytic converter's going out. It could be you have a vacuum leak. It could be you have bad gas. It could be the fuel pump is weak and it's got low pressure, and then low pressure is going to make the car run lean because it doesn't have enough fuel, and that can trip an oxygen sensor code. So there are a lot of reasons they can other than that. But first, make sure you got an OEM factory sensor, because these aftermarket ones, it's like everybody makes them. Oh, it's cheaper. No, it's just as good as it. No, they often aren't just as good. And those electronic parts are real critical because they read through computers, and if the sensor's off even a few millivolts, it's going to keep the code in it. It's not going to fix anything. Jason Bourne says, Scotty, my 2007 LS250 has a weird binding noise from the rear passenger tire. I know the axle's leaking. When that causes noise, I only hear it when I back it up, which is on hill. Okay, yes, leaking axles will cause this. And now this may sound nutty, but it's true. If you have a leaking axle, when that fluid leaks, the fluid is now getting on the axle bearing. You think, oh, the fluid gets on the bearing, it lubricates it. But no. The bearings, those bearings are sealed bearings with grease in them. And if you get fluid in them, it wears them out and it starts to make a noise. The first time I ever did one years ago like that, I thought, well, it doesn't make any sense. The fluid is leaking, it gets on the bearing, it should lubricate it. But it's a different kind of lubrication. The lubrication that those bearings are making is a grease. And when it washes that grease off, they wear and they start to make a noise, so you probably need a bearing there. It's a pretty expensive job on one of those things because they're pressed on and off, but odds are that's your problem.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.